Toreus here for United Colours of Ruckus Avenue Radio Dash Radio. Hope you're all enjoying the show. And good news, we are now moving into our interview segment. As you all know, I'm quite selective with the guests that we have on our show. And many of you have been messaging me and asking DJ-related questions related to DJing, performing, open format DJ-related questions. And I thought it'd be a great idea to get one of the top open format DJs in the US on our show to talk about his experience of performing different styles of music, world genre music. And he's a very talented individual. He's been doing this for such a long time. I think you're all going to get a lot out of this, especially those who work specifically in the music and the DJ industry. So just to give a bit of a background on this guy, he does a lot. He's been in the game for a really long time. He's played at the top nightclubs in the country, I believe. Venues such as Live Miami, Hyde, Tower, Las Vegas. He's not only played in the US, but he's played all across the world. He's a very technical DJ as well, very highly respected amongst the DJs and peers in the industry. He's definitely someone you would take notice once you hear him perform live. I've heard him perform live and he's a menace on the decks and he knows a lot as well. And he's very knowledgeable as well, so it's great to have him on our show. So please welcome to United Colours, my favorite DJ, DJ Konflikt, straight from Miami. How are you, sir?
Oh, man, what an intro. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that.
No worries. Yeah, we always give big intros for all our guests and give props where it's due. So you are based in Miami and you are a DJ who's come up from the scene in Miami. And just in general, firstly, just how is Miami at the moment in the nightlife scene? Is it thriving? Is it kind of hit a plateau? What's your general vibe?
I think the country as a whole right now is at a bit of a plateau. There's a lot of shifting going on from freestanding nightclubs to more of a hybrid model of venue where there might be a restaurant, maybe supper club type of vibe. But there's a lot of places that are doing a lot of sports related showings with music, a DJ in the background that'll play in between the game and things like that. As far as freestanding nightclubs, those are becoming more and more rare.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's actually similar in London as well. So over the last couple of years, even before COVID, nightclubs were taking a bit of a hit and the audience wanted something different than just going out to a place with a DJ and a dance floor. So we're seeing a lot of brunch parties, dinner and dance related venues, custom curated parties, venues which incorporate different forms of entertainment and shisha and things like that. So I think it's similar at some places across Europe as well. I wanted to ask you actually, firstly, before we get into it, your name, Favorite DJ, which always puzzled me actually, because you brand yourself as Favorite DJ and you've got this image of you with a championship belt, like you're the winning DJ. I'm just curious, does that ever become, don't you ever feel that becomes a bit cheeky or condescending, or are you just so confident that you are the man at the moment?
Both things are accurate. So the first is that my favorite DJ, that handle, I selected it because my DJ name, I picked it when I was 14 and I decided to spell it with two Ks instead of Cs. So DJ Konflikt with Ks instead of Cs, which, by the way, if you have any German listeners, I've been asked before, are you German? Because I'm guessing that's the German spelling for it. But what I found was that once social media started becoming the way that we communicate to the whole world, it was difficult to explain to people how to spell my name. So it's Konflikt with two Ks, don't put a C. So there was lots of different misspellings. So I thought I need a bridge to get people to me without a difficult way of spelling the name. So I just was able to secure at my favorite DJ on almost all platforms. And it seems so simple because when someone says, hey, what's your Instagram? You just tell them my favorite DJ. So they go, my favorite DJ. And I'm like, yes, I am. That's the one. Yeah. So, there's, in regards to your question about the championship belt, yeah, club DJ world champion, undisputed, undefeated. And the reason why is because on any given night, I'm going to be the best DJ that room has ever heard. And granted, they're only listening to me. So yes, there's a little bit of cheekiness, that goes into these things, but confidence is part of the entertainment game.
Yeah. But, the thing about you is that you can back it up. You've got the content. When people see your videos on Instagram or social media, they know you have the skills. You play at the top venues in the country. You also post content where you're actually doing a lot of this live as well. So I think you're in that position where you back it up, whereas if you were someone who didn't have the experience or skills, they'd be like, oh, okay, this guy's full of BS. But, you're definitely not. You've got a lot of things on your resume to back it up. I mean, I was also, with my name, DJ Vik Toreus, it's spelled differently as well. So I've gone through that process where I'm thinking, well, should I have a new handle as well? Because people often spell that incorrectly. But yeah, it's good to hear your insight into that.
I look, you Vik Toreus, sorry to cut you off, but your handle should be Total Victory, at Total Victory. Like that's like a champion handle right there. Not that you should change yours. There's nothing wrong with yours, but if I was your marketing director, I would tell you at Total Victory. So when people ask you, you can tell them, if you want to follow me, just follow Total Victory.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to make a note of that. I mean, you're very strong at marketing, so it's always good to get tips from you. Awesome. So I wanted to talk about staying relevant as an open format DJ. There are so many DJs out there. There's so much music, and there are new genres of music, new styles always cropping up. In general, I mean, you don't have to go into too much detail, but what would you say is the sort of top 3 things that you found helps you stay relevant as an open format DJ in a somewhat, semi-saturated market?
3 things. Number 1, it's not about me. It's about the people I'm playing for. So regardless of what I feel should happen, the crowd will dictate what I do, which leaks into number 2, which is there might be some music or some new songs, some singles that I don't like, that I don't think are good, that I don't appreciate as a musical piece. That does not mean that I will forego playing it, because I have to abide by number 1, which is do what the crowd wants. And number 3, consistency. Always being on top of what I'm doing and never forgetting that if I want to continue to play the game, I have to be active in the game to be noticed and not forgotten.
Yeah, great answer. Actually, going back to the first thing you mentioned, I remember a few years ago in an interview, you talked about being an entertainer more so than an educator. And I think for a long time, DJs have sometimes been seen as people who need to always work at breaking new music, playing new music, educating the crowd. And I'm sure there definitely was a time for that. But I think we live in this period now where that's not necessarily always needed. And I remember listening to an interview, and that kind of, it flipped a light bulb in my head where I was thinking to myself, well, actually, my main job is to entertain the audience. And if that means playing a song which I don't like so much, but they're going to love, it's just a minute or 2 of my life, it's I'll deal with it, And
I agree with you. I think that's the whole point, and you nailed it. I think when you mentioned the fact that we used to be educators because there was not enough access to new music. The direct contact to a label was a DJ, and then that direct contact was a dance floor. But that doesn't exist anymore, because everyone can just hop on their phone and listen to whatever they want before they even get to the club. For example, if a song drops Friday at 7 o'clock, people can stream it on Spotify before they hear it at the club. So we're no longer educating people on new music. What we're doing is providing a service. We're deploying a good time for a venue.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. So performing as a club DJ, so there's lots of people listening to this that would love to DJ, for example, Live Miami Saturday night, right? And you've done it all. So what would be the sort of key piece of advice you would give someone who wants to perform at a venue like that, at a huge moment like that?
Yeah, so I would recommend that you boil down to the lowest common detail that you can find. Even to the point of, if you want to visualize it, what you would wear on the day that you're going to be working. What day will you be working? Where will you be working? So once you have those details down, you can create a roadmap backwards to where you are today. You can't say things like, I want to be a headlining DJ. I want to play nightclubs. That's a dream, but it's very, very fleeting. There's not enough detail there to create an executable plan. So if you say to yourself, I want to DJ Live on Friday, and I want to work there in 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever the case might be. Now you have a roadmap where you can build a path to where you are today. That's the most important thing, creating details for your vision.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I find with DJs, not just DJs, but maybe musicians, they have dreams and visions, but not many of them have defined goals and plans where it's written down and structured. And, that's the kind of habit, I wish more of us would get into.
Not just musicians and DJs. It's definitely just humans in general. I mean, we can all relate to thinking to our retirement, being on a beach and having a drink with an umbrella in it. But then you realize that after that, and this is something that I heard on a podcast once, after that one drink that takes maybe a minute or 2 minutes to drink, or 5 or 10, whatever, you still have another 23 hours and 50 minutes of that day. What does the rest of the vision look like? We tend to pick these very undetailed situations in our minds and strive towards that goal, but it's not a goal that will be attainable unless we define those details.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, with that type of advice, you should be a life coach, with the amount of good things I've heard over the years from interviews and podcasts. So, keep it up. I wanted to go into specifics of mixing international music genres. So we are a world music show, and I know you play many different styles of music, and you're performing at venues where you're playing hip hop, house, EDM, Latino music, Afrobeats, etc. In general, what's your thought process when you're DJing a specific genre? Let's say you're playing reggaeton to a crowd in Miami, and then you know that there's an audience in that crowd that may want to hear, for example, Afro beats. What's your general kind of thought process? Are you quite technical and you're thinking about keys and BPMs, or are you on the mic, or what goes through your head during those certain moments when you're trying to switch genres from one world music genre to another?
It's situationally dependent, but a lot of times I am thinking 3-4 steps ahead. So if I do notice that there's a specific genre that's going to hit with the dancer I'm working with, what I try to do is build a scaffolding, like a bridge from where I am to where I need to get. And sometimes that bridge will also include an exit point as well if it doesn't work or if I gauge the crowd wrong. So these kind of exit plans or emergency strategies that I think every DJ should have at all times. It's like, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm going to default to this. Or at least be aware of what BPM section you're working with and what is the big song in that section in case what you're trying doesn't pan out the right way. So what I'm thinking is, I'm here, I got to get from point A to point B. I want to try to play this genre, for example, Afrobeats. So what can I do to get from where I'm at to there? And then this is all on the fly. Obviously, we only have a minute or two while we're mixing records. So to me, the prepare folder is very important, or the prepare crate in Serato DJ is very important, because I'll start setting 5 or 6 songs and it's a string. And what I'll do, which I don't know if is common practice, but I will visualize me playing the songs and how it's going to feel along the way. And then once I get to that point, if it feels the same way that I thought about it and it's working with the crowd, then great. But if something's off, then I have to adjust.
Yeah. No, I see what you mean. I think you've broken it down in detail quite well, and I think many of us think like that. But it's when you explain it, it definitely sounds a lot complicated than it probably actually is. I mean, I kind of do something similar if I want to go to Afrobeats, but I'm not completely sure there's a chance that it might not hit. I might play a big song which has an a cappella out, and I know that will give me some flexibility to then mixing another track and make it sort of cohesive and smooth and not abrupt to the audience. So yeah, I guess over the years you just build up these tools and these skills to actually do that. So what would you say at the moment are the sort of hot international world music genres in Miami? So Latin music, I know it's big, but what is anything specific in that genre? Would you say is big at the moment? Is it still reggaeton? Is merengue hitting hard? Is it still dembo? What do you feel at the moment?
So anything with Bad Bunny is going to be big. That's the biggest of the big. They came out. Bad Bunny is featured on a track that sounds. It's called Banda, I believe. It's a Mexican style of music. Man, even that is getting played, and I think it doesn't have any solid 808 drums or anything along that. It's a requested song. Anything with Bad Bunny, I would say, is probably the go-to for now, but that changes. For a while, it was Drake, and anything Drake did, and Drake was versatile enough to move from genre to genre, and he could do a hip-hop song, and then the next song that you can play the same artist, and it would be something that sounds Afrobeats or it sounds like dancehall. So it was Drake for a while, and it's been Bad Bunny for a while as well. But what usually happens is with oversaturation, there's a whiplash. So after a while, people get not fed up, but they might want something different, which is normal.
Yeah. Out of interest, is one of his latest records, Where She Goes, is that hitting hard in Miami at the moment?
Where She Goes. Remind me of the artist. Is that? That's the Double Time Bad Bunny.
That's
So I haven't played it in Miami yet. It probably came out like 2 weeks ago, and I've only played out of town. So I've played in markets where reggaeton and Spanish music doesn't really hit that much. So if I'm going to play those kind of records, I have to stick to the very mainstream and recognizable songs.
Right. Okay. And how is Afrobeats over there in Miami at the moment? Is it growing in popularity?
So the beautiful thing about Afrobeats is the fact that the music itself is standalone. It's difficult to get crowds to dance to things that they might not recognize. But reggae, dancehall, Afrobeats, they have this common thread, which is very danceable, likable. It's party music. It's fun. More so for dancehall and Afrobeats. And so that in itself, that quality helps guide the crowd even if they don't know it. Now, you can definitely tell the difference when there's potentially an African contingency in the crowd or some Caribbean island contingency, because they know the words and they dance, and they know the dances, they know everything, and that's fun to watch. And that makes you feel good when you play a genre that might have not been played by someone else, and it goes off. That's amazing. So that's what those genres have going for them, and it is really crowd dependent. But there's always that baseline where it might work just enough to maybe, in that instance, educate the crowd on something cool.
Right. Okay. And Jersey Club, Ballet Funk, that's still working in Miami, I'm assuming as well.
The Jersey Club is one of my favorite things to have hit mainstream in a while. I used to love Jersey Club. I would try to play it, but it was just a little too aggressive for crowds, I think. When they were so used to Four to the Floor with EDM music for years, from like 2011 to 2017 or 18, double time Jersey stuff didn't really hit that well because they were kind of confused. But now that it's so mainstream, it's fantastic. I love it. So it's hitting, maybe not as hard as I want it to, because I want it to go off, but sometimes it'll go off.
Yeah, there's an edit that you posted on your Patreon pack. It was the pony one. They sat Ferg. I think is a shortened version of a flip you found on SoundCloud or something like that. I've been using that in my sets actually. I downloaded it from your Patreon. That's been working really well. That one goes off for me. Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning the Patreon.
Yeah, you can. I mean, towards the end of our chat, you can definitely plug that for sure. I've got a Patreon as well, where I sort of upload edits that I've made myself, which have a fusion of world music and South Asian fusion. So yeah, a lot of our listeners find that quite helpful. And I guess, you've been DJing for such a long time and you've worked with many different styles of music. Are there any, can you sort of, I wouldn't say predict, but is there something bubbling that you think is going to be like a future trend pretty soon? And obviously, your Jersey Club, you're saying is hot right now. Is there something you're feeling will come up next?
So if I'm going to use my crystal ball here, I'm going to go as far out on the ledge as I can. I think that we've been dealing with low quality sound, low quality production, lack of spiritual, sentimental, thoughtful music. And I think the pendulum has hit its end on that end. I think that when we swing back over, hopefully we start getting music that's produced with the highest quality, music that's written to a higher level, and music that engages more with your feelings and your sentiment as it used to, instead of being so, I don't know, so discardable, because we listen to a song for a week or two and then it's over. And it's like, it seems like a waste of this medium that we have that's so beautiful, that makes people feel so many things. I'll tell you, there's a reason why when I get into the car, I'll put on the Beatles, Queen, the Doors, or something else for me and my family. That's because that stuff is fantastic.
It is, yeah.
I'm not playing anything contemporary with my family because it's not playable.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess nowadays we live in a world where everyone's attention span is short. Well, not everyone, but much of the younger audience that tends to go out, many of the party goers, their attention spans are short. They're on TikTok very frequently. We're hearing music which just has hooks, which gets everyone excited, but for a short period of time. But in terms of like songs, like real songs with depth and meaning, we're possibly not being exposed to so many of those. And I think you make a good point. And people here in the UK, amongst the DJs in London, we have a bit of banter going on about the number of ABBA requests. So you guys get a lot of Bad Bunny requests. We get a lot of requests for ABBA, especially over the last couple of years. And DJs are sort of fed up of playing that, at least the ones I know. But the reason why those songs by ABBA still work is because they're generally good songs with great songwriting and hooks, and if you really break it down, similar to what you said earlier with the Doors and the Beatles and what have you. So that's a very deep answer. I assumed you were just going to give me a one short answer, but that was a very deep answer actually. I like that. Cool. Okay, awesome. And then finally, before we move into our quick fire round, as we do have a lot of South Asian listeners, just out of interest, what's the sort of hottest South Asian Indian record you're playing at the moment? Is it pretty much a remix of Punjabi MC, or is there anything different that's working on your dance floors?
There's a moment in every party when I touch on the South Asian music, which to be fair and to be cliche, and I apologize for this if it upsets anyone, I do sometimes start the set off with Punjabi MC. Yeah. But I tell you, the moment that I do, I know exactly where the party's at because man, does it turn up.
Yeah.
And the hands go up and they start, you know, dancing and then the cheering starts. And if it's a big enough space in that crowd that starts to party, they will move the whole party with them. So what I do is I kind of go further and further until that energy kind of dies down and then go back into sort of the more quote unquote regular programming. But there's a record by DJ Snake right now where he sampled two women that are singing. The name escapes me. And they're singing on a TV show. It's a really old. I don't know if you remember the name of it.
New and Sisters, Patak Goody. Yeah, the Goody.
Yes. So, man, that record goes off.
Oh yeah, it's going off Miami. Yeah.
It's going off wherever I play it actually, because Snake has this DJ Snake, who's also an open format legend, by the way, in France. He has a way of turning samples into very playable, danceable pieces of music, specifically because he has so many years of open format training. I think that's one of his keys to success.
Absolutely, yeah. His audience in India is massive. He's like one of the biggest DJs in India. Not just that record, but some of his previous releases, Mahab Greg, which is more Middle Eastern, and the other one he did as well. He's done a few which sample, ethnic sounds and Middle Eastern sounds. And also, fun fact, the Nuran sisters who sung the original Patak Goody, supposedly they're releasing a song with Drake, I've heard. At some point.
Amazing. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. Apparently Drake has signed the rights to the original record or something along those lines. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from that artist lineup. Cool, awesome. Well, just before we close up, we are going to move into our quick fire round. So as mentioned before, we started recording. This is just the ending segment of our interview where we ask our interviewee a bunch of questions in quick succession, and you have to say the first thing that comes into your head. This is the fun part of the interview. Many of our listeners love hearing this from our interviewees. The responses are quite funny. So, and the questions are based on the interviewee. So I've done a bit of research and I've kind of tailored these quickfire questions towards you. So, my favorite DJ Konflikt, are you ready for our quickfire on United Colors?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Remember, the first thing that comes into your head. Question number 1, turntables or CDJs?
Turntables.
Record box or Serato?
Serato.
Chicken or beef?
Chicken.
Yes or no, do you believe in ghosts?
No.
Top guilty pleasure track to play right now?
Flowers by Miley Cyrus.
Top hood or ratchet hip-hop track to play right now?
Rich Flex, Drake, and 21 Savage.
Bruno Mars or Pitbull?
Or both of them.
Both of them, okay. Who's headlining your own party? Is it Diplo or Jazzy Jeff?
Both again.
Oh, you can't pick one. Okay, both.
Oh, no, listen, if you want me to pick one, I'm going to have to go with Jazzy Jeff.
Who's the opener for your own party? Joe Maz or Obscene?
Joe Maz, so me and Obscene can hang out and listen to him play.
And who's the closer for your own party? Is it Miami's DJ Don Hot or DJ Cass?
I'm going to go with DJ Don Hot so me and Cass can hang out and watch him play.
Okay. And finally, what's your favorite new club in Miami?
There aren't any new clubs, man. Freestanding clubs. There's the newest club is called Gala, and I haven't played there yet. So, as far as my favorite new club in the United States is Cabo in Boston.
Right. Okay. Nice. Awesome. Well, thanks very much, Konflikt, for our quick fire round. And before we schedule the interview, I asked you if there was a current favorite song that you are really into at the moment, and it's something that we'll play after the interview. So can you tell our listeners what your current favorite song is?
Yeah, my current favorite song is Switch Disco. It's actually a group from the UK, and the song's called React.
React. Awesome. Okay, so we'll play that after the interview and we'll try and do like a clever mix with it and something quite creative. Hopefully it lives up to your expectations. And before we go, please do tell our listeners where they can find you, where they can follow you, your website, your social media handles, and any upcoming dates and tours you want to plug. Go for it.
Oh, thank you. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at MyFavoriteDJ. I am actually launching a DJ management company during the second half of this year. So hopefully once that's done, maybe I can come back on and we can talk about that if you like. That's going to be towards the later end of the year. I also have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/my favorite DJ. I post edits. I make videos of me making the edits, and I will sometimes shoot videos of me using the edits to kind of give you guys an idea as to how to navigate certain new songs and how I would play the music if I were doing it myself. Thank you for inviting me on. I really appreciate the interview. It was fantastic and professional, and you do a great job.
Oh, thank you so much. Great to hear it from you. You heard it there. My favorite DJ, DJ Konflikt, Miami's finest, one of the top open format DJs in the United States here on United Colors. Let's keep it going.